He do. Same thing that happened to Takeoff, like somebody said in the comments with the Migos.
Yeah.
Quavo goes solo, Offset goes solo. Rather take to me, Takeoff was really one of the best rappers out of the group. You know, but that's another thing because we still talking about secret societies sacrificing because they've been doing all of this stuff for a long time. It seemed
But a
like
lot of it don't happen like people think it happens.
go ahead.
See, when you can control energy, you don't have to always do the sacrifice the way people think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? They do more stuff in those lodges than they actually do to people. But the work that they do in the lodge, it creates an energy that causes a problem for some people.
Right.
And in the midst of that problem, you might not survive it.
That's crazy, bro. That's crazy. So a lot of things that's going on right now, like being what they showed us in the what they showed us into the Super Bowl rituals, and
Mhm.
with how they said that pretty much what they decode is saying that it's about to be hard times in America, and that
It's already hard times in this
yeah,
motherfucker. The
pretty
fuck
much.
about to be. Look, we the only people in the world, the ones over here on this land. We don't care what your skin color is. Think that we got it so good and it's so much better in so many other places around the world because of less government involvement in people's day-to-day lives. Over here, they one step from micromanaging our ass, telling us when to wake up and when to go to sleep. Right? It can't get no more messed up than it is.
Damn.
You got people fighting each other because they lighter or darker than each other.
Damn.
You don't know who in your ancestral line. It's too much creeping go on in the human family. Motherfuckers slide out with the neighbor, the lady in the penthouse, whatever the case may be. It's a whole lot of creeping going on. You can't be sure if you've been in America over 100 years in your bloodline. You can't be sure that you ain't got some cut on you somewhere.
Hey, somebody asked, it says, do you have to do opposite magic to combat their rituals?
Sometimes you can't do nothing to combat them because of the amount of power that they're using. You can only offset it by trying to walk a righteous path, and you still gonna have energy upset because of their work. But a lot of times we have what's called defensive magic.
Mm-hmm.
Defensive magic is used, and then you got protection magic. So defensive magic is fighting fire with fire.
Uh-huh.
Protection magic is putting up a force field to block their attack so you don't have to fight them.
Uh-huh.
And that's the difference in the two.
Hey, somebody said, how do the more Zionist Jews or the Black Hand keep the pale face in check after all these years due to that dirty work, doing their dirty work?
Because they know who's in charge and they know where they at and they go have meetings with them and they threaten. They use threats of violence on your whole fucking. They'll erase your bloodline. They'll erase your whole bloodline. They'll blow a city up just to get rid of one family. They don't. They know who they're dealing with. They have no conscience. They have no. Especially when it comes to warfare. That's why the Roman maxim, all is fair, love, and war. No matter if you fall in love with your best friend's wife, you better holler at her. That's fair because you fell in love. Nigga, you better get her ass in there and sit down somewhere and get out of my motherfucking face. I don't want his woman, I want mine. But you got them, they don't care. It's all fair. All that shit fair. Killing babies, raping babies, it's all fair to them. It's not fair to us.
Damn.
This is you don't understand the wickedness of your enemy. That's why you won't never mount up an accurate defense against his wickedry. Because what he's willing to do, you're not willing to do. And he'd just be willing to do it just for fun, where you wouldn't be willing to do it sometime to save another person's life because it's too repugnant to who you are. This is how we know us from them. We do a whole lot of dirt, we start having nightmares. They do a whole lot of dirt, they sleep better.
Somebody asked, they said Larry Hoover's was out of jail. You heard anything about that, Rod?
I listened to a guy who writes what's called paradoxical literature, and he did a paradoxical release based on Kanye West, but I haven't heard anything on the official channels. But it wouldn't surprise me if he was.
Only can mean one thing: Doc for to get out too.
They all they got to get out.
Yeah, they got to let him out.
It's just we gotta. So what you're seeing, since we're gonna get into it now, let me roll my sleeves up a little bit.
Yeah, I think this is the time
give y'all some insight.
All the chiefs get out.
Okay, remember, the Republic is responsible for liquidating the corporation. In order to liquidate an asset or a set of assets, you have to inventory the assets. You have to know where everything that's been used was used at. You have to know what's remaining in the coffers that's usable. The only way to do that is a series of audits of every aspect of the corporation. Everybody worrying about Elon Musk gonna take their data and use it against them. Elon Musk don't give a damn about your data. He just want to be involved in something that can erase his family's South African history off of his conscience.
What's up, big dog?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Let's get it in. What's on your mind?
Man, I said, man, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, my brother. Man, you know how long I've been watching you, man?
I see you pop up every now and then.
Yes, sir, man. Man, I love what you're doing. That I don't think I want to say keep doing what you're doing. I see what they're trying to do with your little lives and stuff. They don't like the energy what you got going, man.
They can't stop it.
They can't stop it though. But we still on the ride, baby.
Yep, we on the rise.
I'm gonna keep watching you. You and your elder, y'all keep on dropping that.
For sure, man. We look. As long as everybody bumps straight, we'll be good. And some of the people that's bumping straight got to walk off a cliff. That's because that's the only way they can bump straight.
Most definitely. And I'm kind of on that too, man. I've been having to walk away from some of my little family members and everything because I know what I got going on. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm down here from Georgia, man.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah, I'm down here from the woods, doing a little kitty war.
You got any questions?
Huh?
You got any questions?
I got a lot on, man, but you know, I ain't even gonna get into that tonight. Hey, I don't mind you personally.
I'm here to get into some shit.
You had to get into some shit.
Else I wouldn't be here.
Okay.
Can't worry about getting in trouble. I was born in trouble. I was in trouble when I got here.
So my question to you, like, as far as like us getting together what we need together, how do us, like, I'm kind of stuck in between the bridge, you feel me? Like, I connect with the younger, I'm more connected with older, you see what I'm saying? So how do I need to go about, you know what I'm saying, trying to, you know, get the right.
You're a translator. Your job is to get the wisdom from the old. If you're the bridge between the two, that you're supposed to listen to the old folks and talk to the young folks.
That's what I'm doing. but
Yeah, like
it's
the
kind
stuff
it
that
kind
I
of
be
hard.
saying,
It's
I
kind
didn't
of
think the
hard
young.
around. It kind of hard around my area.
It's
Like it's hard
supposed to
around.
be. The obstacle is the way it's supposed to be hard. Believe me, I done had it hard. It's been hard.
Yeah,
Me being on social media for me is hard, but
I
I'm
know
here.
it. I know it. I know it. I need some good books I can read, man. Like I'm trying to get into reading. I'm really, I'm really,
What you
I'm really
trying to
just
do?
trying to relearn everything. You know, like I don't want like I'm getting away from everything I was taught. Like even with my kids, I'm trying to do different things. Like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. So what you trying to get into as a profession?
I'm a professional welder. That's what I do. I'm a welder.
Okay, what you trying to do for community wise? You
I
gonna be
want
a
to be
leader? You gonna be an entrepreneur? I'm trying to figure out what kind of books are you looking for.
like I want to be heard, and I also
Okay,
do
so
want to be an
study
entrepreneur.
communications.
Okay, okay,
You know how to work a room. Some of the ones one called "How to Work a Room," 1,000 and something. Just another book, 1,001 conversation pieces. I think it was called. But study communications, how to talk to people, how to work a room like a politician. Um, understanding neuro linguistic programming, understanding that you in the middle of ages. So the ones older you don't speak the same language as the ones younger than you, and you always gonna be a median. And
yeah,
the ones younger than us that listen to us is gonna translate it for the ones that's coming after them. Right?
yeah,
That's where the idea of a step down educational method came from, where
yeah,
the new children sit in the back of the class, but the ones been in the class the longest is in the front.
yeah,
And the side effect of that is a lot of time, by the time the kids that was in the back get midway up, they know everything the kids in the front know because they've been
yeah.
passing the
True,
information back to them.
true.
Yeah.
And I got one more other question. Like, for as like, I ain't gonna say like, it's like I got. I want to be like on a positive energy, and I try to stay on a positive energy. Like, but I'm steady. Like, it's so much stuff trying to keep me from being positive, and you know what I'm saying. But I don't let it keep me from being positive. Like, you know,
Look, even when you go negative, use your negative for the greatest good.
yeah,
In other
yeah,
words,
yeah, that part.
in other words, if you find yourself having to fuck somebody up, make sure you right first.
Yeah,
You know, question yourself about am I right, am I wrong? Am I about to go upside this head because I just feel this way, or am I in the right and I should go upside his head because he about to go upside mine if I don't? You know, you
yeah,
gotta make sure you right and do what you gotta do. Sometimes you don't have to. When you realize that you're wrong, sometimes that's where you learn your greatest lesson. At because now you realize that by you checking to see if you're right, you found out you was wrong. Now you have to adjust your behavior. That's a
yeah,
building block.
yeah.
I ain't got no problem with pushing nobody's snot box back. I'll punch a motherfucker in the nose in a minute, but
Right.
I gotta be right. Because
Yeah, yeah, yeah. See,
if
I don't, I'm like that too, but you know, I've been trying to do right. You see what I'm saying?
just remember, every time when you do right, if you don't have an opposition in the form of a wrong trying to be done to you, you will never know you doing right.
Yeah,
You got to have an opposing force, and that's how you can navigate this world. You're going to have push, pull, push, pull. When you try to do wrong, somebody's going to try to steer you back right. Are you going to be mentally astute enough to bump back straight? When you
yeah,
find yourself getting too far to the right, somebody going to come and try to agitate you for you to bump left so you can get back straight.
yeah,
You know, so it's always going to be that dynamic push pull. um you're going to try to do what's good, somebody going to try to find every reason they can to tear you down and to prove to the world that you ain't ready. And then when
yeah,
you get done overcoming all that, guess what the proof in the pudding say? Got to be ready, because they tried to tear him down and he's still here fighting.
Yeah.
But the self-discipline. When
It's
you
funny.
worry about going off the rails, your self-discipline, you don't have to act on everything you feel.
It's
But
funny you
you
say that
gotta
because
ask
I've been
yourself
moving.
about everything you feel.
Yeah.
You know, and that self-discipline is important.
Yes, sir. You just gave my confirmation. Appreciate it.
For sure, for sure.
I ain't gonna
All right,
hold
I'm
up,
gonna
bro.
take a couple more callers and
Yeah,
then I'm gonna wrap it up.
I was just finna say I'm gonna let you get a couple more callers, man. I appreciate you. I love you, bro.
All right, appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Peace, love, and light.
Yep.
One.
Question you. I just wanted you to go ahead and tell the people about their power. What you was just speaking on, basically, a bunch of people don't even get it like that. But I just want you to speak on your power that you know for yourself. Because what you speaking on already and what you telling people to do for themselves is just already sharp. Like that's the only thing people need to know at this point is how to take their power back over. How to get going. I'm already on that level right now. I'm on that frequency right now, and I'm glad that I'm connecting with people that's already on that frequency. But when you get on that frequency, I'm gonna ask you this: when you get on that frequency, what keeps you going on that frequency than the people that you've been talking about that's trying to dim you down, dim your light?
They can't change who I am. I'm the only one that can change me.
Right.
The world has tried in many different ways. They locked me up. They done attacked me. They done shot at me, threw bricks at me. They done came at me with sticks and clubs. That shit don't move me.
Mm-hmm.
They can't kill what's inside, because what's inside is eternal. They can F the body up all kind of ways, but what's inside is eternal,
Right.
right? Thug niggas eternal.
Right.
We come in, we assess the situation, we adjust for the consequences. So when we get bumped, we can take the impact. Once we can take the impact, bring it on, let's play. This is a football game, okay? Yep, I'll run the ball straight
Right.
up the middle. I'll run over everybody on the line because that's the job I was given and they can't stop me. Call me Barry Sanders.
Right.
Call me Billy Sims.
Right.
Coming through like Franco. I got one on my back, one on each leg, and I'm still running the touchdown.
Exactly.
Jim Brown. I got one around my waist, one on each leg, one on each arm, trying to strip the ball out my hand. And I got a whole trail of them behind me, and I'm still breaking records, smashing through the end zone.
Exactly. Cause I just wanted you to point that out, cause we go through a lot as the chosen ones, as the one that got the light, and then there's people that pull on you and try to dim your light, and then you feel like you got to step back yourself. You ain't got to set back shit. I ain't mean to say that, Facebook. Educational purposes only, but you got to set back for nothing. You just got to keep moving. Keep, like you said, you Barry Sanders. Keep moving and keep going forward. Like,
When you
go
beat
ahead.
the opposition, you Bo Jackson and run harder.
Exactly.
That's
I
it.
just wanted my peoples to get to know that though, because my people seem like they gotta keep helping people that ain't even for them, that
Well,
people that ain't even serving them,
you
people that
can't
ain't
help
even on their life.
nobody till you help yourself first. And if you helping
Yeah,
somebody before you help you misusing yourself.
right. You giving too much energy to them people. That, first of all, they're gonna take your energy. They're
You're
gonna
gonna
take
remain,
everything
you're gonna
that you
stay
giving to
depleted.
them.
Yep.
Yeah, and then they gonna move from you. They're gonna act like they don't even know you. So that's why I had to come on here and ask you that, because I know you was finna get a light to the people. They already light, but you finna brighten their light even
Somebody want to
brighter.
know if you're from Mississippi too.
I'm from Nah, I ain't from Mississippi. I'm from I'm from I'm from Florida. I'm from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Y'all, it's crowded down here right now. I'm from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Mississippi got so much power over Florida right now. Mississippi, if you from Mississippi right now, you need to tap into who you really are, because Mississippi got so much power right now. Y'all just not tapping into y'all power right now. Y'all need to tap into y'all power right now and see what's really going on. See who y'all really are for yourselves. People in Florida right now really don't know who they is right now. But I'm from Florida and I know who I am. I know my worth. I know my powers.
I'm
And
gonna tell you
I'm not
this.
even I'm not even trying to get everybody to see who they is, because if you don't gravitate to my frequency, you don't gravitate to my frequency. Well, if you do, you're gonna gravitate and you're gonna move and you're gonna come back. But I had to come on here and I had to ask you that question because there's a lot of people on here that's rising up. I'm not even gonna say waking up, that's rising up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. wondering why they rising up. You rising up because you know how powerful you is, but you really don't know how powerful you is. But when you tap into how powerful you are, you can go.
They
Well,
set him up, and they went.
yeah,
Yeah,
but they said
I don't want to sugarcoat it.
okay, but I before I go there, but I also had a conversation with a brother who's been on my show. Maybe he hasn't been on for a couple of years, but who's very familiar with this case. Also, who had told me a couple of years ago that where he is in Atlanta, he specifically was present because he's in the music industry, and he said that his son was there at the studio and had these young ladies with him that he was telling them what to say. The promise he was going to take them to Disney the world, I guess the one in Florida. He told them that if they got the story right, if they were able to, whatever they were going to say to the authorities, he said he was there when this son, whoever, I guess he was, I don't know if his biological son or what, was coaching.
Jacob Jordan.
Yeah, well, he was I'm calling coaching. In this case, he was coaching these girls as to what to say. But then, like you said, the video I saw, the women were saying they lied, they set him up. And my question is, why, if those kinds of things have been publicly, those declarations and statements have been made, isn't that enough to, well, I know why, but I'm going to ask anyway, why hasn't that been enough to reopen the case and to release Dr. York?
This is the continuation of COINTELPRO.
What's
Remember,
it take from us? I mean, what's it going to take from us? I mean, do you think because we've been too
we
silent?
have to restore our tribal jurisdictional supremacy on the land. The tribes are responsible for restoring back the balance to the land. And you're going to know this because the statistical crime rate is going to plummet. You're going to have the OGs and all of the hoods explaining to the youth about how we got infiltrated, how they turned us against each other. And the youth going to take it to the streets and they going to talk among themselves and they going to support the elders in the oral tradition of reclaiming the land. It's in the process now. If you watch the algorithm, 5 years ago when I started this, it was probably me and Dane Calloway and Karimu Ahu are the only ones telling the story. Now, when you look at the algorithm, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, everybody know they not like us. They not like us. Everybody know. Everybody know that. You even have political officials coming out calling the former slaves Indians because they was never slaves. We was prisoners on our Big Mama's family farm that they named the plantation. That was because they used it as a makeshift prison because we was already there. We was living in, we had, until you get married off and go set up your own household, grown people, they had to go stay with Big Mama because they had to help with the family functions, the family farm. And then, some of them stayed with Big Mama up until they was up in age. Some of them built a house down the street, a couple miles down the road, so they could come every morning. All of this stuff, barbecues, we've been doing that for hundreds of years, thousands of years. That's nothing new. They call it making an offering, a burnt offering to the gods. That's not making no burnt offering. That's a barbecue pit. We're cooking the meat. This way you got the pit masters. You still got the brothers been doing the same thing that their ancestors been doing down there with the in-ground pit, with the stake over the pit, rotisserie cooking hogs for a big function or a cow. Back then we ain't had cows. We was using bison, elk, and moose. But now, because they didn't killed off so many bison, elk, and moose, they didn't depleted the resource, and then they gave us bovine beef and pork in its replacement. Pigs not from over here. Cows not from over here. It's not compatible with the original tribal blood types for us to be eating that stuff without developing certain key and known ailments of the day. Alzheimer's, high blood pressure, diabetes, and dementia. They really want the saturated fat to give you Alzheimer's and dementia, so you can't never tell the youth what you remember. And then they want to drug them up so that they can have ADD, so that they can't understand what you're telling them because they don't even know what they doing because they so drugged up. All that stuff is warfare. It's biochemical warfare. It's open warfare. It's food warfare. Everything that we did naturally, they either villainized it or monetized it. We had a whole different species of yard bird that wasn't a chicken. The chicken is the closest thing we got to it. Right? But we used to have turkeys more than we had chickens. Big Brontosaurus drumstick on Big Papa plate. Yeah, they took all our culture and they turned it on us. They used it against us as opposed for us to use it for our betterment.
Yeah, I saw something else too that was interesting where they were showing, I think it was Vanessa Williams was doing a search on her family, going back to check her roots. And of course, she obviously has mulatto in her family, but her great-great-great-grandfather looked just like us when she finally went back and found and was a free man. They showed that he was a free man. He was in the legislature. He was in a lot, he wasn't mulatto he wasn't, but he actually was serving. So one of the, I call them the vanilla people that was a historian where she went back down south to check, was saying, well, there was a time when people like your grandfather were serving in the legislature and they were doing XYZ and all that. But at some point, I think he was in the last set. After that, they started doing things to make sure that they weren't in. They were no longer.
Yeah, they started passing laws to block them out and replace them with pale faces.
Right. So they were doing stuff like another brother was sharing with me that he had done some research, found some paperwork out of Alabama and wanted to get a certified copy of it. But he said in this paperwork, he said that in order to vote, and this was like in the 18 somethings, you had to be a landowner, and you had to be able to pay the poll tax. He said there were only 700 and some in this record, pale faces, so to speak, who were actually able to vote, but over 4,000 of us that actually voted back then because they were landowners and they had the funds to pay that. So a lot of these things, like I said, the story that we get is that we were all in slavery, and from the boat to that. But the fact of the matter is that how they begin to get them to, when they formed the U.S. from the British Moors, they became the British, formed the United States, and then conned some of our people into joining in with them and giving up their birthright. They didn't need the 14th Amendment, because they already voted. They were already landowners. They were already this, but all these things changed.
Okay, so you got to remember, it was still a war. The North still
naturalized. Why did they naturalize when they were already the natural Aboriginal people of the land?
Yeah, This goes back to we the largest heritable landowners in the history of the country, but ain't nobody telling us where we get the land. How we get all that land if we wasn't already here?
Right.
Right? We were massive landholders the whole time because we didn't believe in selling land. They used the sweetheart swindle to marry Big Mama off, poison her, and turn Big Mama house into the big house. Then they go hire pale faces as the property managers, as the farm managers. That's why we ain't like the house nigga for real. And then once the pale face started realizing what was going on, he's taking these people's family property and he's turning them into bond servants. Where did they come from? Where did pale face come from? What was the socioeconomic condition of 80% of Europe from 711 AD to 1494? What was their socioeconomic condition? Everybody in Europe wasn't royalty. They were delegated to villages that the crown used at their disposal for using their babies as food and sex toys, using their women as concubines and their harems without their permission. They just go in and take what they want. Right? And this is why they make all of those
years ago where I decided I was no longer going to weigh and measure. And that sounds kind of bitter and harsh, but I really did get to that point where I didn't want to go eeny, meeny, miny, mo, which one of you is going to try to fuck me here? You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to try to weed through to find out that, oh, you are a racist in the long end. You see what I'm saying? So I just kind of pulled back from that society where I was actually very intermingled with it. And the reason why I'm saying this